All right, YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Zach, the Celtics guy here. I'm back with another video and back with another topic that is circulating in the news as well. I know this is my third concurrent video in a matter of 3 days. I made one video per day for over a period of 3 days, which is pretty cool, and I'm glad that I'm able to upload a lot more frequently than I've been able to before. And I'm glad, and I definitely have a lot more topics of discussion going forward as well. But one topic I wanted to discuss today is an issue that has been circulating Brazil, and I know I've talked about this odious individual before. The neo-fascist, borderline authoritarian leader running Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro. So it looks like Jair Bolsonaro is pretty much fucked right now because he's up for re-election next year, and his approval rating is plummeting amongst his people. And it's pretty, it's not really shocking, and I'm actually glad. I mean, I would argue that this guy never should have got elected in the first place, at least not in a democracy like Brazil, or definitely not anywhere in the democratic world, because this is what happens when you let fascists run the joint. So it looks like Jair Bolsonaro his political future and his time in office is not looking very well. His re-election chances are declining very fast, and it's pretty good to see. It's pretty good to see that this fascist, bigoted piece of shit is getting rejected by his people at wide rates and by a wide margin. And it brings me a lot of joy to see, because I feel bad for people in Brazil that are living at the hands of this odious individual. I know I've covered Jair Bolsonaro quite a bit on this channel, and it's definitely a topic of discussion that's definitely a big interest of mine. It's definitely a big interest of mine, stuff that goes on in the world, and geopolitical things, and geographical things, and so on and so forth, systems of government, you name it. It's definitely a topic of, it's definitely a interesting topic that brings a lot of interest to me. That's why I like talking about it on this channel, and I like uncovering it for you people. I like doing, I just like doing all that stuff, teaching people about what's going on in the world today, because tell me, I like covering this stuff because this is stuff that our fucking media will never bring up. Obviously not. I mean, our mainstream media doesn't talk about things like this. So anyone who tries to act like, oh, you're getting this from the media, or like people on the right would probably be like, you're getting this from fucking CNN or the alt-left or whatever. I didn't see CNN or MSNBC bring up this once. And if they did, I never heard anything about it. So excuse me for not hearing anything about it. But of course, Fox News would probably defend this guy. I mean, well, think about it. I mean, Fox News is a fucking neocon channel. They're probably one of the biggest fucking cancers on America. And that's not to say that CNN isn't the same thing, because they are. CNN is just bias on the neoliberal side, and then Fox News is bias on the neocon side. But Jair Bolsonaro, I mean, if you look at his quotes, his voting record, his human rights record, it really is just someone that is obviously just using a scapegoat to distract from Brazil's actual problems as a country. And I'm not sitting here trying to say how Brazil should be, because it's not my country or anything like that. I'm not saying anyone should get directly involved, but I'm just saying that leaders like this use scapegoats whenever something is going wrong. So for example, a lot of African dictators, why do you think there's so much homophobia in Africa? Because these politicians over in Africa use gay people as a scapegoat for their problems. The dictator in the Gambia did the same thing. He was overthrown a few years ago, but that's another story for another day. I mean, just you go look at that, and Jair Bolsonaro, no different. Okay, I mean everyone. I mean look at all the shit that goes on. I mean, if you look at some of his quotes, I mean Jair Bolsonaro he definitely comes off as racially and ethnically insensitive. He is definitely 100% homophobic. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. I mean, Jair Bolsonaro is homophobic, and if you don't know that he's homophobic, then I don't know what to tell you, because he's absolutely homophobic. Jair Bolsonaro has made homophobic comments such as, I'm a proud homophobe, we Brazilians don't like homosexuals, I'd rather my son die in an accident than bring home a macho man, or like just stuff like that, or like saying, if I see two men kissing in the street, like I will beat them. He's threatened gay people, he's threatened violence on his political opponents as well. He's also made degrading comments about women. He's made degrading comments about indigenous people, the Afro-Brazilian community. So he's definitely racially and ethnically insensitive, and he perhaps could even be borderline racist. It wouldn't be inaccurate to say Jair Bolsonaro is racist. He's definitely a bigot. He's definitely homophobic. He is most definitely a fascist, because a fascist will use violence against political opponents. There's no question. There's no question about that. It's not a surprise that Trump and this guy were like fucking butt buddies, but that's a whole nother story. I see Jair Bolsonaro trying to pull the same bullshit if he loses re-election that Trump did in this country. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't put it past him, but that's not really the point of it. The point is, Brazilians are fed up with this guy. They're fed up with this guy because this guy is a right-wing authoritarian and a fascist and a tyrant and a war criminal. So that's exactly what's going on. Because I mean all the terrible things that Bolsonaro has said and done. Like, we could literally get into a debate about this all day. We could definitely talk about this all day, but I'd have to, like I said in one of my last videos, in order to talk about something so extensive and so huge, I would have to like make like a fucking 10-part set, like video compilation, because of how ridiculous it is, because of how much shit is in the works about all of this. Because of how ridiculous it is. Jair Bolsonaro is ridiculous. He's a joke. His regime is a joke. His regime is a fucking joke. And he's made Brazil a joke on the world stage. I mean, look at me. I mean, I'm an American. I mean, look at how our fucking politicians are making our country a joke on the world stage. Trump made our country one of the biggest jokes on the world stage too. But that's besides the point. It just goes to show that people are standing up to these fascist leaders, and it's a good thing. Because we saw what happened with fascism in the 1930s and 40s. It didn't end well. We saw what happened with fascism with Mussolini. That didn't end well either. We saw what happens when authoritarian leaders have their way. It doesn't end well. And if you look at some history books, it doesn't end well. So that's what happens, and then there are. So this is the guy that the U.S. is backing. Remember how I was saying the other day, or yesterday actually, about the Cuba embargo? Jair Bolsonaro is a homophobe, an authoritarian, and a war criminal, and I don't see any embargo on Brazil. Why is that? Oh, that's right, because Jair Bolsonaro is on our team. So therefore, he can get away with whatever he wants. That's exactly right. He can get away with whatever he wants because he's one of ours. Well, I remember Joe Biden did criticize this guy, but Biden hasn't done a fucking goddamn thing about it. I don't think Biden would do anything about it because I don't think he's capable of doing anything. I don't think he is. I don't think he's competent enough to do anything. I mean, the guy can't even. The guy is completely just. He puts his foot in his mouth every time he opens it, and he can't formulate a proper sentence. I don't think Biden could formulate a proper sentence if his life depended on it. But that's the problem. Like, there's no embargo on Bolsonaro. There's no embargo on them, but there's an embargo on Cuba. I'm more concerned about a fascist leader in Brazil that threatens the Amazon rainforest and has been deforesting the Amazon rainforest. Well, he hasn't been doing it directly, but he's been igniting it and inciting this. Okay, so therefore, there's no embargo on him, but there's an embargo on Cuba. Okay, because Cuba is a communist dictatorship. Okay, like I said before, who cares? Just like I'd say, who cares about Jair Bolsonaro? Or whatever, but some people might say, oh, Zach, who cares about Jair Bolsonaro? Okay, well, here's the thing. Jair Bolsonaro is threatening the peace of the world. He's a climate change denier, and he's destroying the lungs of the planet, which is the Amazon rainforest. So, how is Cuba threatening the peace of the world? Oh, that's right, they're not. And some people may say, oh, well, they were threatening the planet with the Cuban Missile Crisis. Yeah, but that was kind of started by Dwight Eisenhower, but that's a whole nother story. But Jair Bolsonaro is in fact a bigot. So Brazilians, I really hope that you can get this guy out of power sooner rather than later. And it's good to see. But with his poll numbers, it's not looking good for Jair Bolsonaro. Jair Bolsonaro looks like his time in office is limited. It looks like he's not going to last much longer the way he's going. And I think that's great. I hope that Brazilians can come together and vote this piece of shit out of office, because this guy is going to bring Brazil on the brink of dictatorship, is going to bring them on the brink of fascist dictatorship, kind of like the Brazilian military dictatorship that the U.S. backed. Oh, wait a second, that's right. The U.S. backed that dictatorship because the Brazilian military dictatorship was a right-wing dictatorship, and it was one of ours. They were one of ours. They were on our team. That's how history works. If you don't know your history, you are doomed and bound to repeat it. That's the problem with all of this stuff. That's what Bolsonaro is. Bolsonaro is a bad person. He is an intolerant person. He is a warmonger and a tyrant and a racist and a bigot. And I don't like to throw around those words, but I don't like to throw around those words because those words have been so overused in this day and age against people that have differing views, and that's not my intent here. I'm saying Bolsonaro is a racist and a bigot because he is. I'm not saying it because it's my opinion, because it is. If you look at his quotes are racially insensitive, homophobic, and possibly even borderline racist in some cases. So that's my message about Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro is a bigot, he is intolerant, and he is a fascist. A fascist is someone that calls for violence against their political opponents and wants to use violence against their political opponents. Bolsonaro has done all of those things, so therefore he is a fascist and he is a bigot and he's a warmonger because he wanted war with Cuba and Venezuela. He kicked out Cuban doctors out of Brazil because of a dispute with Cuba, because Cuba is a dictatorship and all that. Bolsonaro was the last person on the fucking face of the planet to call someone else a dictator. Kind of like how the Republicans in this country will say that this country's a dictatorship, yet they have one of the most anti-LGBT rights records on the planet. I have one of the, well, in the country, rather. It's a joke. Our politicians are homophobes and are against civil rights, but they're going to call others dictators and all that. So, and Bolsonaro's doing the same thing. No. And he's saying the same thing. He's saying that about Cuba. He's saying that about Venezuela. So he's also a warmonger. So no. You're the tyrant. You are the one that wants to violate the rights of LGBT people and other minorities. And the Republicans in this country, well, not all Republicans, but the neocons like Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz and Ron DeSantis and all these other fucking idiots, they all want to do the same thing. So when they say it, it's hypocrisy. Bolsonaro is a hypocrisy. Bolsonaro is a hypocrite, and people like him are hypocrites. So no, it's great to see. I'm very happy about this. I hope they can vote this guy out, and I really hope that they do. Because if they don't get this guy out of office sooner rather than later, then the future for Brazil and its democracy looks very bleak. But hoping for the best, and I wish the people of Brazil the best of luck, and any Brazilian that's watching this right now, I wish you all the best of luck, and I hope that you can get this fascist, I hope that you can get this fascist piece of shit out of office sooner rather than later, because otherwise it's not going to look good. So anyway, I'm going to cut it here. Thank you all for listening, and I hope that you all enjoyed this video. Comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. Let me know. Do you like Bolsonaro or do you not? Like I said, we can agree to disagree. Do you like, do you not? Do you agree? But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll be back with more videos and a whole bunch of other stuff in the works. Stay tuned to find out more videos on the way. And peace, and have a nice day or night or wherever you are, and I'll be back with more soon. This is Zach the Celtics guy signing out, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye for now. See you later.